Hello, third graders. Welcome to our lesson today on plant responses to touch. So we have talked about plants responding to light by growing towards the light to make food. We've talked about how plants respond to gravity with the roots growing towards gravity and the stems growing away. We've talked about temperature and how some plants go dormant during the cold winter months, and meaning that they lose their leaves. They don't make new food or grow, but they are still alive, living off their stored food. We talked about that some plants need the cold weather in order for it to make its blossoms. And then some plants actually need the heat of a wildfire to open the cones and release their seeds. Excuse me. So today we're going to talk about touch. How do some plants respond when they are touched? So I am in, my reading packet on plant responses on page 79. The section is touch. And I am in my question packet on page 87. Let's go ahead and get started with those before true and false questions, getting our brain to think. So statement number 1, fill this in on your question packet, says, some plants respond to touch by closing their leaves. Do you think that's true or false? Some plants respond to touch by closing their leaves. The second statement says some plants respond to touch by growing around the thing that it touches. True or false? Some plants respond to touch by growing around the thing that it touches. The third statement says the Venus flytrap closes its trap in 5 seconds. Do you think that's true or false? The Venus flytrap closes its trap in 5 seconds. All right, you should have your 3 true or false statements filled in your before box. Let's go ahead and read about plants' response to touch. Some plants respond to touch. Notice it says some, not all. They respond so slowly that we can't see it happening. Climbing plants and vines put out long, reaching stems called tendrils. The tendril twists themselves around other plants or cling to walls. That means holds on to the wall. When the tendril touches an object, it will grow to curl around the object. So that was one of our things we talked about in our true-false beginning. Okay, so tendrils are a part of the plant stem that twines around an object. And here is an up-close picture of the stem of this plant, or the tendril, wrapping around the stem of another plant or a branch. Tendrils are not always small, like the last picture. Sometimes they're thick and strong, like the tendrils here. This plant has grown tendrils around the trunk of a tree. So this is the stem that's wrapped around it. When it touches it, it goes and grows around it. After our lesson today, you will watch a little video about a plant's climbing vines and how they grow around another plant. You'll also be able to watch a video about the jungle and the vines and how they climb up the tree. So watch both of those videos to see how the plant's tendrils climb around the plant it touches. Some plants respond very quickly to touch. The Venus flytrap has large leaves covered with trigger hairs. When an insect brushes against one of the leaf's trigger hairs 2 times, the plant folds its leaf quickly, trapping the prey inside. Then the Venus flytrap secretes a digestive fluid that helps the plant absorb nutrients from the trapped insect. It takes 5 days for the plant to digest the organism. Only then will it open its leaf again. So when it brushes against it 2 times, it closes it quickly, trapping the prey inside, and then it digests the bug. Here is a picture of the Venus flytrap. When the flytrap closes, the bug that it takes in is actually what provides the nutrients for this plant. Here is a close-up of the Venus flytrap. You can see the trigger hairs on the Venus flytrap. These are the things that have to be touched twice for it to close. After our lesson, watch the video of the Venus flytrap catching insects. It's a very cool video. The mimosa plant is another plant that responds very rapidly to touch. Nicknamed the sensitive plant, the mimosa's leaves fold inwards and droop when they're touched. Scientists aren't sure why the plant has this response. They think it may be a way for the plant to shake off insects. Another idea is that folding its leaves makes the plant look wilted, or meaning like it's dying. This would make the plant look less tasty to any animals looking for food and would keep the plant from getting eaten. So it folds inward. So here is a picture of the mimosa plant, the leaves of it. It kind of looks like a frond from a fern, but it's not a fern, it's actually a bush, and it is a flowering plant that makes seeds. Here is the same plant after it was touched. So you can see how the leaves have folded inward on the parts that were touched. Think about how they look different. After the video, or after our lesson today, you'll watch a video that shows the mimosa plant being touched. And notice how it responds to the touch when it's being done. Remember, it might be from keeping it from being harmed by insects or other dangers. There's a second video also for you to watch about the mimosa plant being touched. So let's review. Remember, some plants respond to touch by growing around the plant that it is touching, like the tendrils. Some plants respond by closing their leaves, and some actually close their leaves around the insect it's eating for food. That is how a plant responds to touch.